Okay, volume's good, volume's good. We will leave this right here. Excellent. Good stuff. And now we'll go live on TikTok here. Hang on, I actually need to adjust this. This is way too big. Okay, and I actually also want to move this up a little bit. And that right there. Okay, cool. That should work fine. And then we'll do a preview view right here. This seems to be okay. Yeah, I mean, it's at PayPal is at that 10.4 as far as the company's financials are concerned. Okay, cool. Got this, got this. Expand that all the way to there. Awesome. Okay, so we're talking about the stock market today. PayPal obviously had some pretty big news today. And let me go right here. Okay, cool. So we had some pretty big news today in the markets. There definitely was some interesting news with respect to PayPal. And it looks like Stripe, along with, I think, I don't know the name of Advent International, the private equity firm that might be taking on PayPal. I believe that the fair value or their offer for PayPal was somewhere around $60.50 per share. This is pretty big news because PayPal has definitely had a rough year as well as a rough couple of years. They have not shown signs of any recovery as of lately. I mean, this performance is not good. And it's definitely something of note for a company as big as PayPal. Now, with respect to how they anticipate on fixing all of these things, or how they anticipate, doing better as a company, doing better as a business, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be interesting to see. But this Advent International acquisition is actually quite interesting. Bitcoin, what's going on? What's going on? Michael, how's it going? How's it going? So definitely some interesting news in the markets on that front. With respect to my positions, the biggest one that I'm most interested in at the moment is my CoreWeave short. Another solid day, down 3.5% more on CoreWeave. That's fantastic. Looks like it's even down even further aftermarket. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Yeah, I've sold PayPal holding in 2021. Too much of a growth happened there. Definitely a lot of growth with PayPal back in 2021. Lots of hype around the stock for sure. This potential Stripe acquisition could be something that might be a good move for people who are current shareholders of PayPal. Hopefully they didn't get in, 5 years ago, back when things were trading at, hundreds of dollars per share, something like this. But it's it still could be a pretty good opportunity for somebody who's a savvy investor and who likes to essentially time acquisitions or look at companies that are being acquired. And it's interesting to see that this was happening with PayPal. Wish I could afford to short CoreWeave. It's not that. I mean, you can just sell short a share. It's only $77 per share. What are we thinking on IBM? That's a good question, Michael. IBM's in an interesting spot. After doing a little bit of research on IBM, their position is an interesting one because a lot of their money comes from consulting revenue, and a lot of the value of the company was being propped up on quantum hype, maybe. Now, as far as I believe there was a correction in the opposite direction today. No, there was not. I stand corrected. I apologize. Yesterday there was on that just absolutely worst day that IBM has ever had. That was rough. So we'll see what ends up happening with IBM, but this is we may be stuck, at this price point for a while. Do you see that Kalshi will let you trade on airplane delays now? Now I'm going to get degens flying high on purpose. Listen, with Kalshi and Polymarket and those types of things, the fact that you can leverage your bet 5x using cryptocurrency collateral on Kalshi is kind of wild. For somebody who may not be super familiar with what they do, that may signal a late stage bull market to them. Dr. Burry was right about PayPal. He was. Thoughts on Costco? I'm looking to trim, but I'm down on it, so I don't know if I should wait to trim. Ben, Costco is, as far as consumer staples, Costco's business, you're not going to see much growth. You're not going to see a ton of movement with respect to margins. Costco, in many cases, has less than a 1% profit margin. An incredible business with a big moat and very, very good staying power. However, with that being said, I'd hang on to it. It's reasonably priced at the moment. They just announced a $1.47 dividend with an ex date of July 24th. I'd hang on to it. It depends on when you got it at, though. Opinions on Cyber Semiconductors. Capri, I need to do more homework on them. Need to do a little bit more homework on them. Why wouldn't Costco stock split? Splitting a stock there's not a whole lot of good reasons to do that. It's kind of like trading 6 for 1/2 dozen of something. It's a company will only really do something like that if it's accretive to shareholders. Can Micron grow more? I think Micron absolutely can. We're definitely in correction territory with Micron, relatively speaking, to the immediate past. This is kind of wild. I mean, I did see it dip to well below $900 today. Last I checked, it was like $890, somewhere around early this afternoon. Kind of wild what's going on with Micron. Could be a decent entry point for the company. It's one company that, in the recent semiconductor correction that we have seen, probably has the most to gain, I would say. Average cost of Micron's $1,078, planning to hold. I'd say hold it. Hold it. Is NVIDIA a buy? Maybe. NVIDIA might be a buy. How's Waste Management, Waste Connections doing? Waste Management's decent, I think. Yeah, I mean, not insanely bad. Just basically flat on the day. And in the past month, it's actually done pretty well for a company of this size and for what they've done. So I'm still holding on to them. The Micron short at 1100 is looking good. Yeah, it could be. Buy or sell Caterpillar? That's actually a really good question because I know Caterpillar was one of the best performing industrials in the Dow in so far in 2026. They've had a pretty insanely good year. With Caterpillar, I know that Michael Burry has announced that he's shorted Caterpillar simply based on its valuation. Caterpillar has had really, really strong earnings, has had really strong growth. It's definitely riding the wave of the AI infrastructure and all the investment we've seen on that front and that sort of thing. The thing that I would say, though, with Caterpillar is it's probably appropriately valued. I don't see it returning to, being more than $1,000 a share. We're probably going to be at this point. We could see a decline in Caterpillar, honestly, because a lot of what their stock price is a function of at the moment is what the amount of money hyperscalers are spending on data centers. So as far as answering your question with buying or selling Caterpillar, I'd call it a hold for now. Thoughts on Burry's position on Lululemon? Justin, so recently in a live stream, I recently compared Lululemon to the Cleveland Browns. I want to be a big fan of Lululemon. They have the recipe for success. They definitely have what they need to be a fantastic apparel company. They had a couple of years ago, they had the market in a chokehold on their apparel. But their board sucks, and their leadership keeps fighting with each other. So as long as that keeps going on, it's not going to be great. To be honest, with Lululemon, they're on my watch list. But until there's a leadership change, I'm probably not going to take them seriously. There's too much competition now. Yeah, too many competitors have moved in because Lululemon got complacent. Buy on DS? No, I don't think so. Not yet. Opinion on SK Hynix. Very exciting stuff. Definitely is putting a lot of U.S. semiconductor firms on watch. I think Marvel is one of them for sure, as well as, Micron, those types of things. So competition's healthy, I think. As far as its valuation is concerned, I actually haven't checked. Let's actually check it out. Here we go. Yeah, it's okay. So just about a $1.2 trillion valuation at about a 26 PE, probably reasonable. I would say so. Flutter Entertainment. I need a ticker for that. Thoughts on have you looked into Parabolus Medicine, Deep Vision, Oklo DRS? Oklo is one that has been asked about before here on my live stream. I haven't given it a super close look. I know that there are some interesting things going on with them. It's an interesting energy play for sure. The nuclear game scares me a little bit more than something like solar or natural gas, but could be an interesting. It could be a good move. Now, as far as their financials are concerned, I'd also have to take a deep dive into that. But energy isn't where my main focus is at this immediate moment. This could be a really, really good investable business, though. The problem is that it's losing money, and it's losing money pretty quickly. So, not ideal. I'd need to really read. I would need to be sold pretty hard on the bull thesis of these guys. Be holding Waste Connections for some time. I have a lot of profit, so I'm not worried. Good. Well done. What's a ticker? The ticker is this right here. Yeah. Thoughts on SanDisk? I mean, the correction was warranted for SanDisk for sure. 100% warranted. Back when it was trading for, what was it? $2,300 a share earlier this month. And back in June, yeah, probably a warranted correction. Right now, could be an interesting entry point. Still feels a little bit expensive if I'm being honest, but it could be a good play. Roblox. I know Roblox is they had some issues with users, especially letting child PDFs on their platform to talk with kids. I haven't checked Roblox in actually a couple of months. They have a really, really good business though. And the last time I checked them, it was somewhere around March, April, and that's when they were trading at roughly where they're at right now. So it could be an okay opportunity. I see the growth. I see the path for growth for them. We'll see though. We'll see. Is Micron dead? No, absolutely not. Can you Google it? So US listed. No, you just give me the ticker. I'm not going to look anything up. PayPal. The PayPal acquisition, if that goes through, it could be very interesting. That could be very interesting. We'll see how things go with respect to regulatory hurdles that have to be passed and other things resulting with PayPal. I mean, this is the biggest jump it's had in a long time. And there's some reasons to be excited because the tender offer for PayPal right now is higher than what it's currently trading at. So, are there any good buying opportunities with majority of Korea getting liquid? Could be. I know that here's the thing with the Korean market, very volatile at the moment. And I know that SK Hynix getting listed on U.S. exchanges on Friday was exciting news. I know the KOSPI is what most people are paying attention to at the moment. And before that, it was Samsung earnings. As far as what the immediate play is based on that, I couldn't say for sure. Couldn't say for sure. Remember when I was saying this with a hard time getting a house? RA, I think I remember. Yeah, I think I do remember. You close next week? Congratulations. That's awesome. Well done. Have you thought of ever getting into private companies? My advisor tries to get me into it. Typically in the U.S., you need to be an accredited investor at the very least, which means you need to have a verifiable $1 million net worth, as well as or an income of $250,000 a year. That's out of reach for most people. Why am I ignoring plug questions? I'm not. I'm getting to questions as I can. Thoughts on INOQ? It's a cool quantum play, but it's pre-revenue from what I understand. So I'm not. That means it's before proof of concept. I'm not going to deploy capital into something that just doesn't have a proof of concept yet. Thoughts on CoreWeave? Completely short. Very short on CoreWeave. I have multiple short positions on CoreWeave. I shorted CoreWeave at like $102 a share, $95 a share, and $92 a share. Microsoft? I'm surprised Microsoft hasn't recovered. I know there's still a bit of kind of wishy-washiness about what the fair value of Microsoft is at the moment. I mean, there's a ton of things that they're in. If you're a shareholder of Microsoft, obviously hold on to it. I think it could be a good play, though. Thoughts on Dell 425 calls August 7th? What was the premium you paid, Robbie? What did I say about Quantum? I like Quantum. I think Quantum is the next space where we'll see a ton of growth. And I think Quantum is basically going to be the next hot AI thing. You know, if data centers and AI is what's really, really popular right now, I could see Quantum being the next big one. There are some very, very early stage businesses, though, that I don't think are worth investing in yet. And I definitely have some more homework to do on that front. Robbie, I'd say it's a technical play at this point with Dell. Yeah, I mean, if you got 425 calls for August 7th, obviously hang on to them and see where price discovery takes you. If you're in profit right now, it could be worth examining whether or not it's worth taking it and selling your position. Michael Boyer just bought some stock in. Okay, is this Flutter Entertainment? Flutter Entertainment. What do these guys do? Profile on Flutter Entertainment. Oh, sports betting and gaming company in the US, UK, Ireland, Australia, internationally. Oh, okay, cool. As far as their financials are concerned, usually gambling companies have decent financials. If they're doing things correctly, they should. I'm going to shut that just a tiny bit. There we go. Okay. So they're losing money at the moment. And it looks like they just spent a lot of money last year on something. From a quarterly perspective, how do things look? Not ideal. I'd have to see what the real growth play is, and take a look at how they're using their cash and what they're spending all that money on. Because that could be good news, it could be bad news. Just kind of depends. Okay, BTGO. Boring answer, but I think Meta and Amazon are the best buys right now. Honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with either. I don't think you could go wrong with either. There are reasons to like both of those, especially those valuations. Okay, this is Bitco Holdings. All right. Yeah, microcap stock. What's cool about these guys? What do they do? Digital asset infrastructure. Offers self-custody wallet, qualified custody, liquidity, and prime infrastructure as a service to investors, builders, participants in the digital asset ecosystem. Crypto native. Yeah, no, I'm not. Nope, not interested. I'll pass. Thoughts on MP Materials? Peter, do you have a ticker for them? Vista Energy. As far as energy plays are concerned, kind of like Quantum, I definitely do need to do my homework on them. It smells like a value trap, to be honest. at the moment. There are things to like about them, but we'll see. Okay, MP Materials. I think we looked at these guys yesterday. Now, as far as what they actually, yeah, and okay, so it's just basic metals. What do they cover, though? Rare earths, so materials and magnets. Okay. So they've got a mine in San Bernardino County. They're headquartered in Las Vegas. Okay, interesting. So here's my take on kind of like minerals, rare earth materials, all this kind of stuff. I'm not, depending on what these guys mine, if it's accessible by futures market, I would almost rather get into that. Just because if you're going to buy stock in a company that has expenses and that has, shareholders that you got to deal with and all this crap, and really the ultimate end product at the end of the day is the commodity itself, not saying that's the exact case for these guys, then I would typically just go to the futures market. Like, for example, if I want to buy, I don't own stock in Barrick Mining, I would just rather go buy gold. If you're starting from scratch and building your portfolio, what would you invest in? There's many different things, to be honest. I would probably take a really balanced approach to something like making sure that there's a decent amount of uncorrelated asset classes in it. And I pretty broad diversification practice for the portfolio. So owning things like real estate investment trusts, owning things like precious metals, a variety of ETFs, and maybe a couple of growth plays. Nick from the Red and White app says, any thoughts on ATI? Buddy has worked for them for a lot of years and says that their new leadership is really solid. Should know the performance of government contracts are always a positive. Don't know if Nick's still watching, but ATI. Government contractors are always an interesting play. That we have to find out, though, if these guys are the right government contractors. High performance materials, advanced alloy solutions. Okay, so titanium, base alloys, nickel, blah, 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 blah. Interesting. Okay. They're in Dallas, Texas. So it looks like they're probably a subcontractor, at least from the defense industry perspective. Could be cool. If they're a sub, so here's the thing about like government contractors in general, and namely defense contractors, because I used to be in this business. This is what I used to do for a job. The main thing that you need to capture are high margin cost plus contracts, typically cost plus performance fee contracts. These guys are probably something like a sub for a variety of commercial clients as well, and or government contractors like maybe Lockheed, RTX, some people like these. I know Lockheed has a really, really big presence in Texas for the F-35 program. Could be a big source of revenue for them. So the main thing that we need to examine is what their margin is on what they're doing, and things like how, what the useful life of some of their assets are. I'd imagine it's a very CapEx intensive business that probably is faced with a lot of margin pressures depending on what type of product that they're selling. And we could take a basic 30,000 foot view on their financials here in Barron's. And it looks like, it's a pretty tight margin of less than 9%. Balance sheet health seems okay, and they just had a lot of financing outflows. Not sure what that was. Could be stock repurchases. In fact, let's actually check and see if that's actually the case with them by looking at them over the past year. Yeah, they may have had repurchases. Hard to say, though. It's also had a very, very strong past 12 months. Could be an interesting play, though. It is a little bit expensive for my taste at about 64 times earnings, though. Appreciate the question, Nick. Let's see, SpaceX entry point, KD, I'd say less than $100 a share. You got to be less than $100 a share for KD. Planet Labs thoughts, and can you check out CTES? Yeah, we'll do. Let's do Planet Labs, and then we can look at CTES. Planet Labs. Haven't heard of these guys before. Construction launched a constellation of satellites providing high cadence geospatial data delivered to customers through online platform. SuperDove creates always online scanner. Oh, interesting. Okay. So they do like geography type work, I think, right? And high quality imaging. Interesting. Could be an interesting business. It doesn't look like they're making money at the moment, though. And they have a pretty high beta. So for a company like this, if they're actually launching the satellites or like getting a third party, if and there's no data on it here in Barron's, so I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds on it. As far as Planet Labs is concerned, I'd probably pass on it. All right, now we're going to check out CTAS. Cintas. A solid blue chip hold. If like out of the gate, I'm going to call it a solid blue chip hold. The one thing that I don't love about Cintas is it's like, yeah, we're seeing decent growth with revenue. Like we did $10.3 billion in revenue, up from 9.6. So okay revenue, okay margin growth, all that kind of stuff. And as far as, in fact, it's just easier to check it out here in Barron's. As far as their other financials are concerned, I'm going to take a look at their balance sheet. Yeah, balance sheet health actually looks pretty good. For cash flow positive, 17.5% net margin, decent. The thing is, though, is that because their growth is so predictable, and like it looks predictable, and it's been, an okay margin. I'd say most of their growth is priced in at the moment. What's interesting to see, though, is that they had a pretty big fall off back in April, or back in March. So that's probably worth a look. Yeah, that's what I thought is expensive for now. Yeah, probably, Nick. Probably. It's a boring business. I agree. It is a boring business. Any thoughts on Humana? Got in 3 months ago. 600 shares. Earnings are coming up. I'd hang on to it. Wouldn't. It's a terribly managed company internally. I'm sure that there's probably a lot of employees who have something to say about it. This isn't that exciting of a play for me, if I'm being honest. I like if you got shares in it, yeah, great, hang on to it. But other than that, that's about it. What happened to Space Mobile? ASTS? Probably. Yeah. I mean, this is like, yeah, come on. All right. So people have been asking me about ASTS for a long time. I don't know how people couldn't see this coming. I'm not going to say, like, say I told you so or say that I was right or anything like that. I've said on here that this is a massively overvalued company. And that this was not, like, their previous valuation was not justified at all. And it was especially, like, at $86 a share, seriously? No, absolutely not. Really not that, it's just not that good. All right, let's look at SNEX and TSSI. Okay. StoneX Group. Global financial services network that connects companies, organizations, traders. Okay. Okay, so they're basically, it sounds like they are, changed its name to StoneX Group. Oh, so they've been around a long time. Interesting. Okay. Sounds like they handle mostly over-the-counter stuff. How have they done this so far this year? Pretty good. Pretty solid. Actually, very good. Low beta, too. My goodness, only a 0.66 beta. That's actually quite low. How about their financials? What are these guys? So they're only at about 20x earnings at the moment. And then as far as their financials are concerned, a razor-thin profit margin of only 22 basis points. That's actually really low. that balance sheet, they got a lot of liabilities. I'd imagine a lot of debt. Yeah, probably not, if I'm being honest. They're probably priced at 21 times earnings for a reason. Not super stoked on it, if I'm going to be completely frank. I'm interested in the Standard Nuclear IPO, but Vic might sell soon, though. We'll see. We could definitely check out the S1 on a live stream sometime. Is OKLO at a lost cause at this point? No, not necessarily. But it's. I mean, it would take a long time. Like for nuclear plays like that, it's going to take a long time. And they've got there's a lot of regulatory hurdles, at least on that front. So maybe, but I'm not going to invest in it. Is Nokia due for a bounce back, or is it sell? It's a sell. Nokia and BlackBerry were never companies meant to be taken seriously in the first place. I don't get why people invested. It's silly. Thoughts on the MUU split? I didn't realize they split, Joe, but I'll have to look at it. Okay, TSS Inc. is engaging in the planning, design, deployment, and maintenance of refresh of end-user enterprise systems. Okay, cool. So they basically have ERP software? Professional services, IT, OEM, equipment, tech, procurement, facilities, management, systems, and okay. IT and equipment deployment services. That's actually kind of cool. How have they done over the last since the beginning of the year? A little bit all over the place. They're only at 20x earnings. Their beta is a little high, but they're making money, it looks like. Hang on, this is intriguing. What's their market cap? Microcap. Okay, only 300 million. How do the financials look? Whoa. Huh. This actually might be a really interesting play here. Thank you forever suggested this. This is an interesting one. So it's like small microcap companies like this that fly under the radar are always interesting. Kind of a low margin, but that their asset, the quality of their asset, their balance sheet improved significantly. Quarter over quarter, it looks a little weird, but that's to be expected, or not anything out of the ordinary, especially for a company of this size. Interesting. Definitely an interesting one. Looking to buy some telecom stock for a while. What would you recommend? Why get into telecoms though? Like you need a what's interesting about telecoms? I think you need to ask yourself why you want to invest into telecoms as opposed to something else. No problem. They have deep connections to Dell. Okay, cool. This could be an interesting like data center play. Or at least companies that do need the IT support and IT deployment support for that kind of stuff. As far as year to date is concerned, it's kind of been all over the place. The past year has not been great, which is interesting. And since they went public a while back, yeah, it's just been kind of sitting there, for like more than 10 years. It didn't really do anything. Okay. I'll add it to the watch list for sure. Is Nebius a hold? No. Nebius is a sell in my view. I don't like Nebius. I don't think it's worth hanging on to. Too expensive, just not worth it. SanDisk hold, it's been very volatile. If I sell right now, I think so. For anybody who's deep in the red on something like SanDisk or something on like Micron or Lam or Applied Materials or any of the semiconductors, I would hang on to them for now. But watch them. I would if I'm a shareholder of SanDisk, which I'm not, full disclosure, and let's say that I bought SanDisk like right here in the middle of June at around, call it $2,100 a share. Now I'm down to $1,600. Do I cut my losses and get out, or do I hang on? If I bought at 21 and it's sitting at 1,600, just above 1,600, I'm watching it very closely and I'm paying very close attention to what they're telling their investors and when like their latest earnings are and what earnings estimates look like and all that kind of stuff, because that could impact the long-term value of the company. So it's not necessarily, oh my God, get out now. It's think about how it could recover if it can, and if it cannot, then maybe it's worth getting rid of. Netflix is at an interesting price, but the thing is with Netflix, I think that we could see. I'm surprised Netflix hasn't recovered, or at least hasn't been getting more attention. That it deserves more positive attention than $74 a share, to be honest, in my view. TSSI, Dale, we just covered TSSI. Been interested in telecom for a while. Thought it'd be based on past performance. Might be a good buy. Problem with telecom is that it's like, there's slow blue chip growth, like slow blue chip stocks. There's not going to be much growth. Like if you want to go after Verizon or AT&T, yeah, you can get your 1 to 2% dividend and capture 5 or 6% appreciation each year, which is fine, but not that interesting to me, to be honest. Was that TSS you were talking about? It's hard for me to see the symbol. I was talking about TSS, Connie. TSS looked interesting, especially for microcap. Evidently, they've got deep Dell connections, and there's good opportunities from Dell there, but we'll see. Thoughts on Nebius? Too expensive. Way too expensive. SK Hynix ruins semi-stocks by being included in U.S. markets. Your trading stock price plus USD exchange. I mean, sure. But were semiconductors due for a correction? There's a good case to be made for that. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that SK Hynix is on U.S. exchanges. Obviously, there's some reasons to dislike that, but to be honest, I'm kind of indifferent. It's a good buy for steady growth. Depends on what you define by steady and how much of what kind of growth you think is good. Yeah, Norm, it's just safe bets on the roller coaster the past 5 years with micro. I mean, so Bitcoin, if you want to like calm down with volatility, then just get into an ETF. Honestly, just buy VOO. There's no reason, or like VTI or something like this. Reddit, I'm bullish on Reddit. I think Reddit's approaching fair valuation. Even at about $200 a share, I think that's where it's sitting at. Yep. My target price for Reddit's about $235 a share. So I think there's a little bit more upside to be captured there, but we're definitely on our way up, especially over the last month. I did my analysis on Reddit like back in June, and I said you should consider buying it. Housing market needs to crash. I don't think it will, Chaos Maker. That's the thing. What's better, an ETF or a mutual fund for Roth IRA? ETF. Lower expense fees. Or an index fund. Mutual funds are honestly dinosaurs. They're going to be things of the past at some point soon. RXT. Rackspace Technology. Okay, we've got a small cap here. Let me guess, do they have something to do with server racks? Hybrid cloud and AI company in the US, UK, and internationally. Public cloud, private cloud. Nice. So it provides a cloud platform. Huh, interesting. Probably not. I would probably pass on these guys. However, let's look at the financial performance of them as of late. Okay, so margins have been improving. They're carrying a massive shareholder deficit. That's bad. Their balance sheet looks disgusting. Probably cash flow negative. Probably burning through money. It looks like first quarter 26, they actually made money at a 1.2% margin. Yeah, I'm going to pass. Definitely not interested. Bitcoin, thanks for joining, man. Rackspace, no, not a fan of them. When to sell Nebius or Bloom Energy? But yesterday. Nebius completely overvalued. What did it come down to today? Oh, it didn't. It went up. That's hilarious. Yeah, I know. Way too expensive. This is absolutely too expensive. Bloom Energy, and I know with Bloom Energy there was some short seller basically sounding the fraud alarm, and I know their management clapped back pretty quick. They've had a pretty rough couple of months though, or a couple of weeks, I should say. I mean, yeah, what were they at? Nearly 350 a share, not even a month ago. Just under a month ago, and now they're sitting at about 230 a share. There's probably more room to come down for these guys, to be honest. Yeah, to be honest, not a huge fan of them. Is Apple overvalued? I know that people have started to ask about Apple and wondering if it is overvalued. No, I don't think it is. Look at Marvel or Kratos Kratos Defense and Security Solutions. Okay. All right, so the first thing that the first thing that I look at in my smell test is I look at their earnings per share if they're making money. I look at the PE ratio and their market cap. And then I may run over here to Barron's and look at their financials. If you're at a PE of nearly 300, that's an absolutely not. No way. And we can look and see what their financials have been recently to find out if any of that is justified. So they had $1 billion in revenue with $22 million in income. You have a 1.63% margin. And it looks like they did massive raises. They probably diluted their shareholders a lot in 24 and 25. Massive equity raises. Quarterly, in Q1 they did $371 million and just under $12 million in net profit. That's kind of sad. Now that might be standard for the industry, and we can look at their profile. Technology, hardware, product, system, and software, the defense, Kratos Government Solutions, unmanned systems. Okay. Yeah, so they're you know, a mid, like they're probably like just a mid 6 out of 10 defense contractor. I'll pass. I'm not that interested in this. Give your thoughts on Marvel. Marvel's probably still too expensive, to be honest. I haven't seen how much, you know, they've correct. Oh, wow. They had a big correction today. It's coming back down to earth, which is honestly, like for a value investor like myself, that's good news. It's still got a ways to go, to be honest. I think with what pushed them down a lot, and especially which pushed them down the past couple of days, was probably the SK Hynix listing. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, worth looking at, worth hanging on to, maybe. The thing is, I've lost 10K on Marvel. Should I give up and sell? Payel, I think that you should think about why you bought Marvel at the price you did. The lesson, if you're going to get out, or you can honestly like understand what went wrong now. Because understanding why you bought at the price you did is probably the most important thing that you can gather from this. Because I'm dumb as hell. Well, if you make dumb choices with your money, then don't in the future, right? Mistakes are our best teachers. I mean, it's really easy to go onto Wall Street Bets on Reddit or some other forum, or see another person here on TikTok saying the top 3 stocks you should buy tomorrow are this, this, and this, and then you end up losing money on it. And maybe think about why you listen to those sources to begin with. There could be still a bull case for Marvel Technology. I still think it's expensive. INOQ, I'm not interested in pre-revenue plays. Quantum's an exciting space. There's a lot of interesting things going on with Quantum. I'm just not, probably wouldn't buy them. IBM, with IBM, it's interesting. Obviously, them having their worst day in, I think, the history of the company, with what was basically a 25% sell-off of the stock, might have been an overreaction, to be honest. But the thing is that there was probably a lot of fluff baked in as a result of where they were positioned as far as Quantum Technology is concerned. A decent amount of their revenue came from like consulting, which is a little weird. So we'll see. Could IBM be a buy after it's a correction? I don't know. It could be. It's worth watching closely. This is what you said on Marvel. Marvel's a little expensive for me, so still some room to correct. I'm gonna take a look at IBM to see if it could be a buy. In many ways, this could be kind of like, buying Intel at $30 a share. But what I think needs to be closely looked at is how they're going to kind of get out of this rut and what their growth plans look like. And when their management tries to control the narrative by actually announcing earnings before the actual earnings date, not really good news. So things could get worse before they get better, to be honest. Will SanDisk go back to 2000 this week? No, it won't. Nope. PayPal's a buy? Maybe. It's at 50, 55, $56 a share, and the tender offer was for about 61. What do you think about Oracle? Probably too expensive. They're probably in the most awkward position out of all the hyperscalers. I'd much rather buy shares in Meta or Microsoft or Amazon than these guys. And it's just, honestly, it's because of their OpenAI ties. Is memory trade over DRAM a buy still? If you're in DRAM, I wouldn't get in yet. I would wait. Or if you're not in DRAM, I wouldn't get in yet. I would wait. If you are, I'd hang on to it. Which stocks am I most optimistic about right now? I have I'll tell you what I have very strong conviction on. So I have a very, very strong short conviction on CoreWeave. That's probably my highest conviction trade at the moment. I have multiple short positions in CoreWeave. This company is worth $25 a share in the best case scenario. As far as companies that I'm bullish on and ones that I like, Take-Two Interactive is one that I've been pretty active about and saying that I'm bullish on. I've also been pretty bullish on I'm bullish on Reddit as well. And I also like Voice Management. Thoughts on Coherent? Could be interesting. What do you think about Take-Two? Really like Take-Two. This is a really, really solid play. I don't think the market is accurately priced in lifetime value of GTA 6. Plus, they also have really fantastic margins on some other labels that they own. Marty, to get into Google, believe it's overcorrected. Your thoughts? Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Applied Digital seems to hold up. Applied Digital is interesting. What I don't like about Applied Digital is that they continue to lose money, and they're losing money faster than they're making it. They could reach their inflection point, though, with respect to, economies of scaling, being able to have higher customer attention and capturing more margin. We'll see, though. I'm sitting on the sidelines with Applied Digital. I know there's a lot of analysts that are bullish about it. Just to give you guys an idea about Applied Digital, not necessarily a bad company, just probably a bit this is what scares me. So we're seeing some revenue growth that's starting to stagnating, and then our income's just falling off a cliff. But balance sheet health is improving at the same time, but there was really big cash inflows in 2025 as a result. So what that tells me is they probably raised debt that's going to put more pressure on income, depending on the type of debt it is. And that sort of thing. Oh, and then looking at it, and one thing I wanted to look is a quarterly perspective. It's not a whole lot different. This is kind of ugly. Um, so I get the bullish case for Applied Digital. You'd have to take a really close look at what kind of debt they have, because it looks like this is when they raised it, and if they have floating rate debt, that's a little scary. And if it's credit facilities they've already heavily drawn on, I don't know. So no, I'm not a huge fan of Applied Digital. I'm watching it though, and I understand the bull case for it, but the fundamentals are looking weaker as time goes on. That's my problem with them. So highest SanDisk can reach this week, probably $1,700. We'll see though. Take a look at NUMI. Yeah, sure. Is Micron bursting? I don't think Micron's falling off a cliff. Municipal income ETF. Okay, so this is what? Municipal bonds. 3.6 yield. Let's make sure. Okay. What are their holdings? Yeah, not okay. Investment purposes, municipal bonds. Yeah, no, I'm not. A municipal bond ETF is pretty boring, to be honest. Oh, Numi.to. Okay. I was going to say. It's not showing up here on Yahoo Finance. Let me check Barron's here really quick. Yeah. Don't see it. Is there anything that's a buy as of right now? I think Take-Two Interactive and Reddit are a buy. I also like Nike. For the most part, things are more expensive though than they are cheap. That's kind of the problem with today's market. And that's the one thing that I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It's harder to find good solid value than it is to find shorts, to be honest. IBM, should I get out? Maybe, Isaac, I don't know. Are you seeing Reddit? I keep missing it. Yeah, I like Reddit. I'm bullish on Reddit. Numius Wellness. Okay. No, I don't trade penny stocks. No. This is a waste of time. Thoughts on Amazon for long-term hold? Really, really solid. I think that's a great choice. I do think Amazon is at an interesting price point still. Yeah, no, I think there is additional upside that could be captured with Amazon. I do like it. INOQ, no. I don't get into pre-revenue. No. Not a fan of it. Genius Sports Limited. Okay. $1.7 billion market cap. Okay. This is gambling play, right? Oh, no. Okay. So they provide streaming services for things like Premier League or something like this? Collection, integration, distribution of live optical tracking, event data, and video for league operations, streaming solutions. Oh, okay, cool. And distribution for sports commercialized video footage. Interesting. As far as their financials are concerned, I don't. Right, they haven't been making money. Okay. How's their cash flow look? Yeah, they had to raise money. They're probably running low on cash. If you're unprofitable for that long, from 2022 to 2025, there's something wrong with your business. This is a no. Joined to ask last question. Do you think we're going to see a bank bubble again? Are you talking about like subprime mortgage debt and subprime mortgage bonds and credit default swaps, this kind of thing, Bitcoin? Because if you are, the answer is no. I don't think so. I mean, again, yeah, we could see it again at some point in the future. In the near future, no. So high SanDisk can reach this week, Brian. I said probably $1,700 a share, and I really wouldn't get that. I don't think it'll get a lot higher than that, to be honest. Dell after the dip, yeah, this is a big correction. Could be. I don't think so. With respect to, yeah, I mean, Dell's been all over the place. Wow. Maybe. The one thing that makes me a little bit nervous is why it's been all over the place. Like, what's going on with that? Obviously, like, Dell feels like it should be a blue chip, but it's not. The price isn't behaving like it, which is interesting. But the fundamentals are probably there. So as far as like getting in now to capture additional upside that could happen, maybe. Oh, it's because of Trump. I'm having Dell bought at 80 and $140. You're probably a pretty happy investor then. Oracle, not a huge fan of it, to be honest. Do I like SoFi? SoFi's okay. There are more exciting opportunities out there, but to be honest, I don't really see SoFi hitting $100 a share anytime soon. They have some cool technology and they've got some interesting bells and whistles, but it's not that I'm not excited by them, to be honest. C Limited. Alex, do you have a ticker for them? Are you talking about Seagate? ServiceNow. I have, so for those of you who are curious, I have a 30-minute thesis on ServiceNow on my YouTube channel. ServiceNow as of today, it's an interesting one. It's slightly too ServiceNow in my view is worth about $90 a share. So it's close, slightly overvalued. If you own stock in ServiceNow, I'd hang on to it. I wouldn't invest at quite at this price though. It's a good business though. And they've made some smart moves. But there are also some things that are kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, my average price is 89 on ServiceNow. Yeah, I think there are things to like about ServiceNow for sure. Do they deserve a premium valuation over Salesforce? Yeah, I think they do. It's worth about $90 a share. Do I like Rocket Lab? It's okay. They got a long road ahead of them, though. C Limited. Who are these guys again? What do they do? Oh, yeah, they're the Digital Com and yeah, I've covered these guys. Not super exciting. It's not that I think it's a bad company per se, but there's other opportunities I'm more interested than them. Probably a decent business, but just not a huge fan of them. What website is this? I'm on a Yahoo Finance, and I also have Barron's right here. In fact, you can't see Barron's. So, Bloom Energy. Dylan, it's probably too late for Bloom. Bloom Energy, I know there was like somebody had said, oh my God, there's some fraud going on at Bloom Energy. And I know their management was really pissed off about that. But Bloom is not, I don't see Bloom getting back above $300 a share anytime soon. Like massively overvalued. Feel about Oklo. It's okay. I prefer solar plays to nuclear plays though. Kind of a long shot to be honest. So who's exciting at the moment? What companies that I do find exciting are Take-Two Interactive and Reddit. Those are probably my biggest Like my target price for Take Two is around $285 a share. Could go up though when we see Q2 earnings. For Reddit, it's about $230 a share. Things that I also like, I like Wasted Management when what they've done. They're probably, I could see them getting to 40 times earnings. It just depends on how well their Stericycle acquisition performs and you know how their Western European customers perform. So Waste Management is what I like. Is it too late for Micron? No, I don't think so. And I'm honestly like, I may get into Micron because Micron's one of the few companies that does have it's got bark and the bite to back it up. Like I would say it's honestly like the Nvidia of the semiconductor. However, I already have exposure in semis with Applied Materials, so we'll see. Micron's valuation is more attractive though. Waste Management has too much debt. And not enough to scare me. Would you buy Reddit at 200? I think so. I mean, yeah, I've owned Reddit before that, but is Nvidia cooked? No way. It's definitely not. What about SK Hynix? Exciting. Definitely a player that's entered U.S. exchanges that I think have kind of, with its fundamentals, have kind of called out some that have inflated ones, which I know has pissed off a lot of investors. But, you know, yeah, I'm so lost in this market. It's a tricky one, Dalton. The mid to late stage bull market, it's a fun one to navigate. Ever hear about Grab? Yeah, I have. It's okay. Do I like DRAM ETF over the next couple of years? To be honest, no. Any thoughts about the 2x leverage ETF for SK Hynix? Yeah, probably not. I don't like leveraged ETFs. Gold, silver thoughts? Fantastic hedges. I probably should own more gold and have higher exposure to gold and silver, but really, really good hedges. Gold could hit $5,000 now. It's more of a macro play, though. So if we see interest rates go through the roof, and if the Fed raises rates, which it looks like they might at their next meeting, it's about a coin flip probability that's going to happen. That could move midterm interest rates up. And depending on how inflation data looks later on this year, we'll see. Marvel a good to enter at this price? No, I don't think so. I think there's more room to correct, to be honest. I'd rather get into Micron. What do higher interest rates do and mean for markets? Higher interest rates typically, so that what that means is, at least in treasury markets, and that's usually how the rest of the bond markets follow, is that investors are pricing higher risk in loaning money to the U.S. government. That means what that essentially means is that the cost of capital goes up, bond values go down as a result, and acquiring things like loans to finance businesses or credit facilities that businesses need for everyday needs go up. Things get more expensive, slows the economy down. So if yields go up, that typically means bad things for asset prices, but it's really is on a case-by-case basis. So, yeah. NeoClouds, IREN, and Nebius. I'm not a fan of Nebius. Way too expensive. IREN, honestly, same case. I think Nebius's thesis and moat is better than IREN's is. I mean, these guys were crypto miners that turned into GPU landlords. Like, they made the right pivot, but they're in an awkward spot, and they're kind of expensive. I'd consider IREN maybe at around like $25 to $30 a share, but I'm not that impressed with these guys. Where do I think Micron's headed? Micron will probably stabilize where it is. As by the end of the year, I could see Micron at maybe around $1,200 a share. They'll probably beat earnings again, would be my guess. I think they're probably more valuable than what they're priced at the moment. Thoughts on Intel? I got in on Intel at about like $53 a share 4 years ago and sold at 128. Intel's got a long way to go, man. They're off life support, but they have a long way to go. The whole thing of turning around the foundry is going to take a while, and like the whole thing, like things that they're doing in Ohio, like trying to build that massive fabrication facility in New Albany, that project is years behind. It's going to take a while. So no, I'm not a fan of Intel at the moment. Which REITs are worth investing in? I like ABR, Arbor Realty Trust. They have a really, really solid yield right now. Thoughts on DRAM? Memory ETFs are... It's okay. I'd prefer just getting exposure to a good memory business as opposed to having potential bad apples in the mix there. Lam Research or Corning, holding on to them, they're down 10 to 15%. Good question. I'm an AMAT shareholder, Dalton. I'd say, I honestly, Lam, but both good companies. Mags is moving a little. It could, yeah. And the Mag 7 are not a bad. Like they've been overlooked this past quarter for sure. Out of all of them, I like Amazon. And I think Meta finally got the attention it deserved. So my Dell made out great. Congrats, man. So would you consider Micron buying as a standalone? Do you mean buying Micron as a standalone as opposed to buying something like a memory ETF? Is that what you mean? Oracle seems oversold. No. Honestly, no, I don't. I think they're the weakest hyperscaler. And while they do have solid earnings, a lot of people are banking on Oracle's forward PE and basically the backlog that they have from OpenAI commitments. That scares me because I think OpenAI I think that the ground is starting to shift under their feet because OpenAI is doing a lot of stuff now that they said they wouldn't do. And to be honest, I think they're in a lot of trouble, financially speaking. We can't look at their books, of course, but... How many stocks do you think is a good idea to amount in a portfolio in your early 20s? I'd say if you own more than there's no reason to own more than like 10 to 15 individual stocks. I don't know who did there was, I forget which researchers or which university looked at it, but there were some who there's basically like the optimal is around there. If you own any more than that, it's almost you suffer from heteroscedasticity problems. What do you think of Rocket Lab? It's an interesting play. I'm not in them yet. Thoughts on Keel since the pivot? What pivot are we talking about? Farriers. I recognize these guys. We looked at them recently. I think I thought these guys were a pass, but oh yeah, okay. So they're also so they're in Canadian electrician services. Yeah. No, kind of a weird play to be honest. Away from mining. From crypto mining? Yeah, so they're basically like a worse version of IREN. Sounds like. Could be wrong, though. Eli Lilly, Cigna, or UNH for healthcare? Probably Eli Lilly. Do I get rid of Oracle and Intel? I bought them today. No, I wouldn't yet. I don't. Yeah, if you bought them today and you're listening to me thinking you should sell them, I mean, do more homework than that. I like to think I have reasonable and good takes when it comes to companies, but please do more homework than that. Thoughts on ASTS? A moatless and uninteresting, unprofitable hype, pure fluff. These guys were massively overvalued a couple of weeks ago. They're getting the treatment they deserve. Probably worth even less than this, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they just raised, what is this saying? They just raised $1 billion in convertible notes. Not that excited by these guys, to be honest. Do I invest in crypto? No. Thoughts on Intuit and Adobe? Those are good ones. Intuit and Adobe could be good ones. I definitely need to do more homework on them, to be honest. At face value, Adobe feels like a value trap, but I definitely need to look into it more. Same goes with Intuit. Those definitely need some more attention from my end, but it could be a good one. Do I think ServiceNow is fairly priced? It's close, slightly overvalued, but it's close. ServiceNow is worth about $90 a share, so it's close. I would hang on to it if you have it. They dumped some, and I have a whole 30-minute thesis on ServiceNow on my YouTube channel, and go check it out if you guys want. Go into the deep dive, and I do a whole deep dive on these guys. They've done a lot of things right. They have a very good business, a very sticky ecosystem, and some very, very valuable software. But I mean, in my discounted cash flow model, it's a little bit too expensive for this price. But their valuation isn't totally crazy, which is good. Thoughts on SanDisk and IBM? SanDisk still feels a little bit expensive to me, to be honest. I mean, when it was last month when it was trading at what, $2,300 a share back here, right here, that was just crazy town. Like massively overvalued at this point. There's probably still a bit more room for correction, if I'm being honest, with SanDisk. I don't own shares in SanDisk. Will I own shares in SanDisk? Maybe, if they come down enough. Top 3 picks currently. Top 3 picks right now are Take-Two Interactive, TTWO. I'm a big fan of Reddit, and I'm also bullish on Nike as well. Thoughts on Disney? It's in a strange spot. It looks cheap. It looks very cheap. It could be very cheap. What's a little bit surprising to me, though, is why, Bob Iger was the man when he was running, this company, back here in 22, 23, back during COVID times. And now he's back in the driver's seat at Disney, and not a whole lot of exciting things have happened. The streaming, Disney, honestly, I think they fumbled with streaming. I think they need to sell their cruise business, and they need to kind of stick to their bread and butter, which is parks and IP. But that's just me. TSMC, yeah, Taiwan Semiconductor tomorrow reporting Q2 earnings. What I think they'll probably beat. Yeah. Price target on Nike. I'm thinking about $57 a share. That's my target price on them. AVAV. Oh yeah. Yeah, these guys are a no. They're drone guys, right? Yeah. I think they're the financials of AVAV just suck. Wait, hang on, let's see. Yeah, it's not great. It's not looking good, bruv. Kind of all over the place. They're kind of in that echelon of mid-tier defense contractors. There's things to like about them, I'm sure. I'd have to take a look and see what kind of contracts they have, though. Because there's definitely some competition for them. or especially in the drone space. But I know that these guys do more than just that. Not a huge fan of them, to be honest. What did you say for Nike? $57 a share is my target price for Nike. Thoughts on Netflix? I think Netflix it's at an interesting valuation. I'm surprised though we haven't seen it pop for Netflix in its stock price. Personally, I think Netflix is worth somewhere around 40x earnings. And it's sitting around 23. I think it could be worth a lot more than this. I know that there are some problems the company's been facing recently, namely with like leadership changes and things like its competition merging with each other, but yeah. Is the Nike at $42 right now? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Bullish on Ondas. Okay. What financial search engine? This is Yahoo Finance, and then this is Barron's right here. SpaceX IPO'd at 135 to 228 industry price. Competitor price is 80. SpaceX is worth less than $100 a share. I really don't like. At right now, it is. I don't get why people are so excited about like this. Yeah. And typically, historically speaking, IPOs do not perform well. Thoughts on Corning and Nokia? Corning's much better. Nokia's kind of a joke. Is Bloomberg worth the subscription? I think it's what, like $35 a month? Probably, yeah. Thoughts on the Japanese selling U.S. Treasury bonds? Yeah, if the yen carry trade unwinds, that's big problems for the Americans. Yeah, that's scary. That's a scary thought. That could cause a lot of big global macro problems. I know the Japanese are obligated to hold a certain position of U.S. Treasury bonds. They can't just dump all $800 billion at once or however much they hold. Kind of a scary thought if they continue and consistently unwind their holdings. That means rates will go through the roof. That's a big problem. And that could, if they do enough and do it fast enough or do as much as they're allowed to, that could spell issues. Thoughts on ASTS? Mostly fluff, mostly hype. It deserves this treatment. It 100% deserves this treatment. It doesn't have a moat at all. Like if Elon Musk and SpaceX wanted to get into their space, he could do it very easily. Amazon and Microsoft, yeah, I like them. I mean, I don't think you can long term. I don't think you can go wrong with either. Those are probably good, decent, safe plays at the moment. Should I sell now for earnings next week? No, hang on to it. I'd hang on to it. Anyway, guys, I gotta call it. I am being called elsewhere, so I got to call it a stream. Really appreciate everyone turning in today. I had a lot of fun talking with you guys. Usually I stream when the market's open, but today I had to start because the market was closed. So thanks so much, guys, for reaching out, giving me all your questions. I know I didn't get to everybody. Things can get kind of wild sometimes in the chat, and I can't read as fast as you guys can type. But make sure you hit the follow button because I do try to get to everybody. And I will definitely do my best to answer as many questions as I can, whether you guys comment, DM me, or that kind of thing. And if you want like more detailed answers, and if I didn't get into in depth enough to you, if I did answer your question, go to my YouTube channel. That's where I have 20, 30-minute long theses on companies, whether it's bullish, bearish, or neutral. Things, so diving into the fundamentals, the filings, DCF valuations, technical analysis, what their growth plans looks like, target prices, all that kind of stuff. Go check that out. Detailed analysis this week. I'm doing Elf Beauty this week, the cosmetics company that bought Hailey Bieber's cosmetic brand last year. So I'm doing Elf Beauty. That's my detailed YouTube video for the week. Should be coming out on Friday. Anyway, appreciate everyone's questions today. So, and do I reach out to you for questions? Yeah, you can reach out to me. Absolutely. DMs are open. So if you guys have any questions on anything like that, absolutely feel free to reach out. And thank you so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one. Oh, and I will be live tomorrow. I forgot to say. I will be live tomorrow, and I will be live on Friday as well. I'm live every day during the week. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.